going to try to be brief. I probably have to say that. But it's been a minute since I had the opportunity to speak to you, so there's a lot I got to say. That's why I said I need to be brief.
Don't be brief.
But we're gonna get into it and try to work our way through the lesson. Foundation for Penance, based on, I think, someone sent the topic, he sent it out, preparation for the future.
That's right.
And so we're talking about penance and absolution. Penance is the first of a two-part series. Next week we'll deal with absolution.
Well,
but we're going to talk about penance in the sense that, we are a covenant community. And when we tend to forget that, then we tend to create a whole lot of hell for ourselves because there is it's a dual obligation. I will be your God if you be my people.
that's right.
And so our greatest task is try to figure out how to be a people.
Well,
And that's an uphill journey. It's a climb that takes a 24-hour vigilance. Because it's so easy to be what we've been conditioned to be.
That's right.
Amen.
It's hard to overcome 400 years of conditioning.
that's right.
And the worst thing that happens with black people is when you don't realize that you've been conditioned.
That's right. That's right.
I saw a movie once and it said that the greatest trick that the devil played on humanity was getting everybody to believe that he didn't exist.
Well,
And so when we ignorant of our conditioning, our foolishness makes sense to us.
Yes.
oh yeah.
Amen.
And so our relationships tend to degenerate or not evolve to what they could be because we're so self-absorbed
That's right.
and problematic. And all its, I guess you can't even explain the difficulty that we create for ourselves
Amen.
just because of our ignorance. So to not know is not an excuse.
Right.
Well, right.
Especially if you're a member of this church.
Right. That's right.
I'm going to get down in the middle of the lesson somewhere. I'm going to talk about. I just needed to say it.
Right now.
All right, Scripture says, Isaiah 1:16 through 18, remove the evil of your doings from before my eyes.
Well,
Cease to do evil. Learn to do good. Seek justice. Correct oppression. Defend the fatherless. Plead for the widows. Come now. Let us reason together,
Well.
says the Lord.
amen.
Let us reason together.
Amen.
Now that's a hell of a statement. I mean, well, that's a heavenly of a statement. Come, let us reason together.
Well,
Isn't that what it's all about, though? Isn't that it? That's the lesson right there. Let's reason together. It's hard to reason with an unreasonable person.
That's right.
It's hard to reason with individualism.
Well, amen.
It's hard to reason with egocentricity.
well,
But when we agree, reasoning is possible.
amen.
So I took this statement from Brother Konada's lesson either last week or the week before. I pulled out the handout, but it says, Lent's basic focus is to try our best to overcome the breaches which have isolated us from one another and diminished our ability to function as a covenant community.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Focus on overcoming the breaches. See, the depth of the statement, you'll go right over it, you'll miss it. See, they are there. The breaches are there.
Oh yeah.
Whether you're aware of them or not, they're there.
Oh yeah.
It's a constant. It's how we do our lives. We breach relationships daily.
Yes.
Just for overt reasons and covert reasons. Sometimes we're ignorant, sometimes we don't know we're breaching. But the breaches are there constantly. So
Amen.
Lent
Amen.
forces us or asks us to take the time to look into it.
Lord have mercy.
Because they're there. And see, and when we think that we have already arrived, we think that I've been here, I done went through the process, and I'm changed. That's when you know you messing up. Because it's constant.
Right. Come on. That's right.
There is no changed.
No graduation.
There is changing.
Well,
And you got to work on it constantly, but when we think we've arrived,
Sure.
just like young people, when we get to 18, I'm grown, and I know everything. I got a handle on this life, and I know how to deal with white folk. Oh, that's something wrong with that.
Lord have mercy. Yes, it
That's when hell is coming to see you soon,
is. Right.
because you don't realize the world you live in.
oh yeah.
Breaches, they're always there. And I put down here minor breaches and major breaches.
Well,
I wanted y'all to kind of participate a little bit in this. What do you think of some of the minor breaches? When we talk about relationships, relationships are important to the doing what we have to do, so we got small groups that we tend to work with and focus on, and then there's the larger groups, and then there's the church community. So when we're talking about the breaches, we're not just talking about the personal relationships that we have with our group. We're talking about the greater community as a whole. There's a greater responsibility that sometimes we tend to overlook. So minor breaches and major breaches. So what do you think are the minor breaches that sometimes affect us? Go ahead.
I think when you deliberately or unintentionally alienate yourself with your brothers and sisters, you know, whether you are aware of it or unaware of it, it's something that just, like this happened to me earlier this morning here. You know, I wasn't aware of what I said, but then when the brother checked me, then I was like, you know, just so happened you bringing it up, you know, that happened this morning. But it wasn't intentional. It was like a joke, but it should have been said, you know. So I think, you know, that could have been, it could develop into something a lot worse than that, you know. And so I think that's one of the things that alienates you.
So,
my Lord.
And we'll get down into that. We're going to dig into that a little bit. I just happen to have that in the lesson. Tighten up. We're coming back. You ain't off the hot seat yet. All right, go ahead. Avoidance. Avoidance.
That's minor.
Avoidance can be minor, it can be major.
Right, that's what I'm getting ready to say.
But it is a problem, because, see, I think I look at some groups as being tight-knit, you know, and actually functioning out of need to belong, loving one another. They kind of like each other.
Well.
But then you got the greater church community. A lot of times we don't spend as much time trying to develop relationships around that strengthen the entire fellowship. And so we diminish our power because we aren't as, I think, what in that diagram you had last week, where everybody's, you know, where all the relationships are like this.
Oh yeah.
I think we lose power because we don't have that. And so that in itself becomes, it starts out minor, but lends itself to major.
Well.
Because it limits the power and possibility of the church, the whole, as a community, as a transforming community, to actually transform.
Well.
And so when we're not headed toward that objective, is to transform as many slaves as we can.
Well. Right.
And that's what it's all about now. You know this, right?
Oh yeah.
Because whether you want to admit it or not, and I think that was a lady, something, I didn't look at the details, but this chick, supposedly educated, black woman, sister, said that racism is over because I've never been a slave. You see what we're dealing with now? This is highly educated.
Right.
But that's a slave that doesn't even know they're a slave.
Yes.
Well.
Doesn't even understand the dynamics of the world you live in.
Right.
And so we're affected by these issues all the time. And so, like I said, minor and major. Okay, give me a couple, go ahead. All
Well, I
right,
have when I think it's major though,
Sure.
trying to fit in with the status quo.
that's a major problem for us. Go ahead.
Identification.
Identification, identifying with the white group, or any other group. Asians, you won't be Chinese.
Yeah.
That's the problem about it. Go ahead.
I was just thinking about daily communication, daily deposits of affirmation, love, or affection. Those are little minor things that turn to major. But if we were every day to be focused on saying, "Hey, how you doing, my sister?" Just the hugs that we give to each other, you know, the words that we say to each other, and those. So if we don't do those things, those daily deposits.
Actively working on a relationship,
Yeah.
constantly,
Just constantly.
sincerely working on it, not with ulterior motive.
Yes.
I'm not, I thought you had something.
Oh, no, I had said, I was saying the same thing, like communicating. I was gonna say the same thing.
Okay, all right, and so what about this now? I looked at major, because we find ourselves a lot of times, disappointed, disillusioned, and in itself might seem like it's just, I'm disappointed, I'm disillusioned. But when you look at what's the result, what's the end result, it's like a retraction, like a backing away. It's like you take out of the fellowship power and possibility because you hurt. You know what I'm saying? Your feelings are hurt, so you withdraw energy, you withdraw input, you withdraw a participation. That becomes major because it diminishes the power of the community to act on your behalf
Break it down.
to God.
Yeah.
Major and minor, but breaches. But what I'm saying, and I took this, is they're there. They're always there.
Well, yeah.
And our vigilance, we got to be aware, we got to pay attention, because we diminish the power of the community to function and act for God in this world.
Right. That's right.
And we diminish our possibility for growth because of our own little selfish things that expand into larger problems. So we don't create the community that's transforming.
Amen.
We show up
Amen.
over and over, but we don't get what we could get because we've not created the healing water
Well,
that transforms. We have to create that. That's,
oh, yeah.
I mean, that ain't just because what it says, I will be your God if you'll be my people. The task is to be the people, to get the power. I mean, you showing up every day, you breathing, you get up in the morning, I guess I'll go. I don't want to go. Oh, this red and black again. Go ahead, Sergio.
Mine is being, and it's a tough one, is being closed-minded. But I see a lot of, the number one thing is exactly what you said, especially when you've been given all of these basic fundamentals. The first thing is to become a group.
Amen.
But you putting the cart, I can be open-minded to the new, you're putting the cart before the horse, right? Once this is set, then all those other things you can venture into. But if you're not a group, we're going to be a bunch of individuals doing individual things, and it will be about
2
me.
steps
It
forward,
will be about
3
me
steps
talking
back.
about this, about the group, but it's really about me. It's really about how I look and the attention that I get and the praise that I get from other people. And if you experience, remember, you can just see it. You're like, come on.
Yeah.
Right? This ain't about us. This is about you, because it comes out of your
But
mouth.
that's our task, is to remind each other daily
Amen.
of the objective. You know what I'm saying? We forget the objective sometimes.
That's right, bro.
And that way we don't participate in the process enough to get to the power because we forget the objective. And what's our condition? What's our program say? What do we fall back to all the time? Individualism, me, myself, and I. I'm the most important thing in the world, and I deserve all the accolades, and I deserve your attention. Look at me. That's the problem with the black community. Look how we act. Look all around. Why do you think they walking around with their pants down showing their nasty drawers? Look at me. Can't you see? I'm somebody. And you got to show your nasty drawers to say that you somebody.
Right.
There's something wrong with that. But individualism, let me lay this log on the fire. Individualism renders you pretty much insane.
My Lord.
I mean, you're literally insane
Lord, help
to be individualistic in a world like this. You know, in this church community, in this community, to be individualistic and selfish, you are insane.
That's right.
Because that's against you. That's against your better good.
Well,
That's against your possibility for liberation. You, individualistic, all about you, yourself. What are you going to do?
Come on.
that's right.
Come on.
Amen.
And then what are you going to do about this?
Come on. Come on.
Amen.
Come
One
on.
question, like, I struggle with individualism. And, you know, how do you become more selfless? You know, I mean, living in like the world we live in with the phones, and you're isolated at work, then you only get a few days where you actually can communicate with people that's similar to you. How do you become more selfless? What exercises can you implement to become more selfless?
That's when you need to understand the greater task that we have here. The covenant relationship actually asks us to be a people. You got to move from individualism to communalism, but you need a group that actually helps you do that. You have to give more time to this movement, to this building, to this construction than you do to the slave culture. Because our programming says, go to school, get an education, get you a good job, and get all the things that white folks make. And you happy.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all they offer you.
Right.
We ask you to move from that mindset, from that notion, to the idea of communalism. I am because we are. And if there's ever going to be a better possibility for black people, it's because we build it.
Amen.
So we're talking about building something that's going to survive.
That's right.
That's overcoming 400 years of oppression and exploitation and brutalization. So the only way is to actually detach from the slave culture and try to move toward a communal society, which the church builds. So you got to spend more time here, working on it, working on ideas, coming to Bible class, coming to church, going to your meeting, and trying to actually move the mindset the way you think more of the group than just yourself. If you can get that done in the next 3-4 years, it's going to take a minute. I mean, it's not an easy task. Go ahead, Chum.
I want to say that I think in doing this right here, getting to know people is speaking to people regularly, talking about various things that go on within the immediate community, trying to just keep consistently trying to let yourself be and be about trying to be about be before other people.
Well, you need, I mean, we need a group though. You got to
Right.
start
I know
somewhere.
that's what I'm saying.
Because the idea is that this,
Right.
listen, why did we come up with the idea of small groups as a whole? How long does it take you to build an effective relationship? You know how you do it with the women, you know, and you're spending time, and pretty soon, you know, you get what you want, and then the relationship's over almost. Right? What is that?
My Lord.
We're not asking for those kind of relationships. That's not what we're looking for. That's not what we're trying to build. We're trying to build relationships that actually can produce a result in the world.
Motivation already.
2 people walking together, 3 people walk, 4 people, 5 people walking together to build something to change the way we function in the world. Go ahead.
I think that meditation is one of the best ways to connect and reaching down into your own spirit and sharing information that's available for you because it's there. You just gotta meditate and go deep down inside of yourself.
Meditation and prayer, I mean, nothing wrong with that. Praying to be a group, praying to put aside your individualism, though, meditating on the possibility of actually working together. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I've been going to church all my life. And when I found this shrine, I realized there was something different here, in the sense of a group mentality. And I was here the other day when the city council gave the award to the church for being here for the past 44 years. And turning this into what it is today. And I was just thinking the other day, it didn't happen overnight. And I took a couple of years, and there's always disagreement in the groups that I've seen, but it's still growing. And it's never cohesiveness in any group where you have people, because there's always mindset that's thinking differently.
Right.
But one thing I can say is that when I got into the situation last couple of months, and I was in the hospital and I didn't want to tell anybody about it, and my wife and I were there, and the bishop called and asked why I was in church, because he always said, if you're not here for 2 weeks, you're going to find out what's wrong with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he came to visit me in the hospital. My wife was there, she said, hold up, your bishop came to visit you? That don't happen in my church. It never happened in any other church I've been to. So that's part of the group dynamics that keeps us together. And that alone, if nothing else, keeps you together as a team, because you know somebody is looking out for you. So that's where you start. That's where you start with the building of an organization. Yes, there's going to be disagreements, but that doesn't mean you can't keep building, because if they had stopped disagreeing when they had disagreements, your life wouldn't be where it's at today. It's still a work in progress, but guess what? I may not see it come to fruition, but my grandkids will. As long as we keep working, and that's all it is.
Now, what happens if the entire group functions like that, though? You know what I'm saying, where somebody's missing for a minute and then they get 10 calls. Like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Well, you know, there's a norm, theoretically, in groups, a concept, golden concept called accountability.
Right.
Why was accountability established? Because we live in a hostile world.
That's right.
Black people drop off the planet all the time.
That's right.
Never heard of again. Accountability assured that if you were missing for 24 hours, somebody was going to be looking for you. That's the value of the group.
Amen.
See, outside of our own personal families, which, you know, the thing that we do, as soon as we're old enough, we gone, we hit it. We out to someplace else. But the group allows us to stay together over the period of time and hopefully hold together long enough that we can change, that we can value the group more than the individual as a whole. That's the journey. Go ahead, Carrie, you can then get back to the lesson. Black people like to talk.
I heard something real interesting yesterday, last week, man. We had a session, a stakeholders meeting, and brother said, since they brought us over here on auction blocks, and we ran away. Initially when we got here, we were running away from the slave master. They were sending the wife here, the kid to Mississippi, the husband was in Virginia, you know, the wife is in Georgia, and the first thing the black man was trying to do is run away to find his family. And we started to get, after the desperation and the frustration of not being able to find our family, we became comfortable just being lost and unaccountable.
Yeah.
And then that's when the spirit started, you know, we got this stuff we got going on now. But as far as being a group is concerned, we got to realize a lot of damage has been done, and it's not going to be, you know.
No easy task.
It's not going to be done by Thursday, 30.
What is Jim Moser used to say that the revolution could be over tomorrow.
Well,
If we could work out a relationship, and we could learn how to be together. You know, black people will be free tomorrow. If we just solve that issue. But it's a serious issue to deal with. And so, back to the lesson. I mean, we'll continue with the lesson. Because our understanding and acceptance of the covenant drives our struggle to change not only ourselves, but the world in which we live. If we want God to support our efforts, we have to find a way to exist as a people.
well,
If we want God to support our efforts, that's the bigger task. You know what I'm saying? So when we having our little individual things,
That's right.
you know, I didn't like what she said. I didn't like how she said it. That, him, what? Ah! We done forgot the objective. Because that little stuff is nothing compared to what we need.
well,
But it becomes mountains that separate us, you know, divide valleys and gulfs. That won't allow us to get to the simple task of working together.
That's right.
So we obligated. Here's where penance comes in. Repentance and penance. We are obligated. You are, and you, and you, and other daily what the cost of our individualism is to the community and the black people.
That's right.
And I think we fail to do it sometimes.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Of course, you know, we trying to do this and we trying to do that. We got a breakfast, you know, fellowship hour, and I don't know if they still do this. Everybody's assigned to bring certain things. There's a method to that madness.
Well,
You bring the forks, you bring the spoons, you bring the bread, you bring the juice, you bring the chips, and you bring the dip.
well,
Now, if somebody don't show up, it's gonna be a mess. What, everybody show up, but ain't no dip, ain't no spoon, ain't no fork.
Well,
There's a method to the madness, but the idea is the test is to see if you understand just how important you are to the thing,
right.
to the overall completion of the task, the overall presentation. And a lot of times we don't get it. You know, we can just stay home and think, oh, well, they got it. Tacoma and Conard are going to show up. They got it. What? I ain't talking to you, bro. They got it. They can handle it. Oh, they don't need me. No. Every bit of energy we can get from everybody as a part of it, we need.
That's right.
Every time.
That's right. That's right.
That's what makes it work. But we're reminded. Our obligation is to remind each other. Look, we're trying to do something bigger here. You know, we can't have you being a slave today.
Well,
We're trying to do something bigger here. What, in the Bible, they talk about Lot and Abraham said, look, we can't be fighting.
well,
There's enemies all around.
that's right.
Why are we fighting each other?
That's right.
We can't do that. Go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say, in terms of forgiveness and all that, I know I had to look back over some situations I had, and I realized it was unresolved conflict from the past.
Yeah.
So sometimes a lot of it is that. The other things never worked out, and you carrying it over into the next situation.
We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
I got a whole lesson on that. Absolutely. Like people we dragging mines behind us. There's a whole landfill of mines. Every black person you meet, you know, ready to explode any minute. You know, we carry so much junk that's exploding all the time on each other. But we're gonna delve into that. We're gonna hatch that out next week. But group process. When we're talking about our obligation to remind each other of the covenant agreement to the community, we're trying to do something here. And see, the sooner you can get people to understand that you walk down this aisle, you ain't walking down no aisle headed toward heaven.
Well,
That ain't what we're trying to do here.
that's right.
We're trying to build a community of Jesus, a transformed community that can act for God in the world, in this day, in this time.
well,
And we can't use individuals to get there. We got to have people who have the ability to work together, to combine their energies and their intellect to the greater task in order to get this done.
That's right.
But a lot of times you never know why people join. You know, you never what actually makes people join. We probably have more agents and infiltrators than we do real members who want to get this done. And that's why the task, a lot of times, was designed to weed out the agent, the infiltrator. And so the task is ours. It has to be done. If we're going to be the people of God, if we want God's support, we got to be the people of God.
That's right.
But we got to get everybody on that same page.
well,
Because you joining a covenant community.
That's right.
Therefore, you obligated to act for God in the world. You are the hand, the eyes, the voice, the mouth, the feet of God. But if you don't understand that, you out somewhere doing whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do it. Oh, Lord, I'm a member of that shrine of Black Madonna. You on the club. You're doing your thing. You think people don't look at that? You represent the Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church, and you out doing the twerk in the middle of the street. Are you crazy? White folks do a better job of changing the way we behave. You go to work on a job, what they tell you? Put this apron on and go out there and wait on them customers. Put this uniform on and go out there and wait on them customers. What you do? You put it on and you go out there and you do what they tell you. Anything you doing, I don't care what it is, Home Depot. You got to go to Home Depot University. They teach you and train you how to stack a shelf.
Well,
How to carry a bag of rocks. They do. That's right. Home Depot University. You spend more time training and learning and practicing and passing tests than you do actually working and getting paid when you first start.
well,
There ain't nothing you join the way you come in and all of a sudden everybody got to change for you.
well,
Are you crazy? What kind of world you live in? Everybody has to go through the process to get there. Otherwise, our power is diminished.
well,
That's right.
We talking about power here.
That's right.
We ain't playing. This is serious.
That's right.
So repentance is not possible without correction. Is that true or false?
True.
What makes you repent? What is repentance? Let's define that first. I'll put it down a little further. But what is repentance? Not you, Devon. I know you. You tried it today already. I know you know. Go ahead, sing guy.
I'm just gonna give you the beginning of it.
Short word.
It starts with being remorseful for something that you've done.
Being remorseful for something you've done. Jahid.
Change.
Change is part of it.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Asking for it or getting it. Which one?
Both.
Asking.
Both of them. Repentance. What is it? Remorse for what we've done.
Yeah, it's actually, like I said, really asking for forgiveness for yourself, really, so you can be right. Because once you are right, everything else will be right.
Right. And what would make you come to the position of being remorseful for something you've done if you don't even realize you've done it? Like, we could talk about the money this morning. If you do something, say this, you leave the gate open and the neighbor's cow get out in the street and get killed. You don't even realize that the cow got killed. What are you going to feel sorry about?
Right.
You don't even know.
That's right.
Right? And so when somebody tells you, what are you going to say? I didn't know. Is that the response?
No.
No.
It's the wrong response.
That's most of our responses.
That's right.
That's how we respond. Somebody try to tell you something, somebody try to check you. What do you say? I didn't know about that. I didn't do that. I didn't, how. That's our response. Ain't no repentance in that. It's ignorance and excuse. Does it change the situation? Does it undo the damage? Your ignorance. What?
My Lord.
My God, look at that. I ain't done nothing with this lesson.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, but ignorance is not an excuse in this world. What did Jesus say? Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
right,
You still need forgiveness, even if you're ignorant. So how you gonna know that you're ignorant? How you gonna know that you don't know? Unless somebody tell you that you don't know. Now what you talking about don't make no sense. That you crazy. Well, we don't want to say it like that. We want to say it like that. Some of y'all say it like that. You crazy. Wow. You can't do that. The objective is correction. What do we do with our children? We try to correct them, right? They get around the fire, what do you tell them? Look, don't put your hand in that. You'll take the hand and put it close enough for them to feel the heat, so they don't go there again. Children licking outlets. Don't do that. Knives in their mouth. But, come on. You gotta correct that, right? Otherwise, sooner or later, they're gonna stab themselves in the face, the eye. They're gonna stick their hands in the fire. What's the difference between adults and children? Everybody needs correction. What do you think? Why do they pay coaches so much? Millions of dollars, what? Just to sit down on the sideline and say, all right, y'all go and play. Do what you do. Do what you've been doing. Everybody who wants to get somewhere in life has to have a coach. Well, that's what the group is. The group is a coach.
Right. Amen.
If the group is going to be successful, then they got to teach you the right strides. They got to teach you how to do this thing together. And if the group ain't doing that, then we failing.
That's right.
You need correction.
That's right.
Correction, evaluation, criticism.
Well.
Now see, I know that, see y'all, yeah, criticism. We're the most sensitive, weak bunch of group on the planet. Weak, young, just so sensitive to criticism. Oh, they're just a hater. That's what y'all say now. They just hating. They just hating. No, that ain't, all of it ain't hating. Sometimes you need to be told your raggedy butt ain't doing this right. That's wrong. That's for your own interest. That's for your own good. Don't declare everybody a hater. Look for the correction. Look for the evaluation. If nobody takes the time to evaluate you, nobody cares about you.
Well.
Nobody gives a hoot about you. We don't understand it. And then there's penance. You got to do that. If somebody corrects you, and then you try to do right, you try to do better. Somebody tell you, that was wrong. You shouldn't have said that to them. And you really feel something. There's some remorse in it. And then you decide, okay, well, I'm going to do better. So you go apologize. Is that it?
Nope.
Is the apology it? Is that enough?
Nope.
I'll say it's not enough because, listen, we got 400 years where we've been beat down and tortured and brutalized and abused. And if something hurts somebody, you know, for us it goes to the court.
That's right.
We are sensitive, too sensitive, and we're self-critical. A lot of times we'll do more damage criticizing ourselves. That's why you give the correction, and if they feel some remorse, then there's penance that you need to do. Cole was telling me he decided he was going to fix some relationships, and he's been, reaching out. I'm saying, okay, that's good. You got to do that. But a lot of times we can do more. Make the call.
Oh yeah.
Make the phone call. Decide that the penance is I'm gonna call you every day for 7 days.
That's right.
You said okay. But people say that a lot of times. People, we say stuff. I'm all right, I'm fine. I'm fine. If your wife tells you she's fine, you better sit down. You better try to find out what the hell is really going on. Don't go to sleep on fine. All right, we can do better.
That's right.
Reach out more, give more, do more for each other, with each other.
Amen.
Let's try to make this thing work. All right?